All right, I finished up construction on my ILGoblin 420 Pro. Just thought I'd give a quick little after action report. This is my fourth 400 size helicopter, and between this and my Genesis Mini, I'm done with 400 size machines. They're just, I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong. They're really beautiful, but I am through with the lack of real estate. I think it was one of the biggest frustrations. So if you look here on this 420, and again, I'll go over the manual too after this. I might change these yellow zip ties and put them in black instead. It got really cramped and tight in there. Overall, it looks good though. I mean, it's a beautiful looking machine. I'm just not happy with the way I had to get. I mean, it's like building a damn ship in a bottle. Like I'm there with like itty bitty little tweezers, trying to feed wires into the ESC and then up into the flight controller. There was hardly any room. So yeah, as beautiful as this bird is, I have no desire to build a 300 size machine, like a Protos or something. Like I'm literally, I got a 520 that I'm going to build next, and that's it. Anything, I don't even think I want to build like a 580 or a 550 class. It's probably just going to be 600 or 700 size birds and above. But whatever. Definitely, I'm done with 400 size and below. Anyways, these packs, I made two styles of packs for the craft. Let's see. Here I had the front mounted, and I just shortened the wires. Now, while I like the cleaner look that these give, and they slide in and out much easier, it's pretty well permanent. I mean, this pack is now, what am I going to do? Cut the leads and put an XT20 in there? Yeah, no, I'm done. I'd have to buy a whole new connector. Yeah, that's only like $5, big deal. But yeah, if this battery goes bad, it's a permanent addition. So one of my subscribers, he actually has a really cool way that he did his. He just used these XT150s and AS150s, and it gives a pretty nice clean profile. Little dangly bits, but whatever. The pack itself should just sit nice and neat inside the craft. Not much to say. I now understand why everybody complains about these 150 connectors. Maybe they weren't exactly the most pleasant thing to solder, but whatever. So yeah. And then this one I just experimented by using a tactical grip wrap. Or not tactical grip, but like a, electrical, not electrical tape, electrical cloth. There we go. Whatever. Anyways, let's take a quick peek at the manual. I'll go over. Oh, and this thing, real quick, I did not do a paint correction. I just did a ceramic coat. And then I did a ceramic silicate after the coat cured for 24 hours. And I did a silicate, let that cure. And it's been curing for about a week now. And then I just finished with an insulator wax. And you can argue that wax and ceramic don't mix. Well, this isn't a car, and I'm not sending it through a car wash. I'm just doing like a little quick Windex wipe down at the field. And it definitely gave it a really nice pop in the coloration, so I dig it. It was already a nice looking canopy though to begin with. And then the only difference is with the Genesis Mini, I did the same thing, but I did 2 layers instead of 1 of each. And the Genesis Mini, same thing. These 400 class birds, they're really tiny and cramped inside. And it makes all of your wiring and everything just an abysmal nightmare. Oh, I got all the wax there. Anyways. Alright, manual. SAB manuals are great. Register your helicopter, that's the first thing you do. Just register. Clear, precise instructions. There was no misunderstanding. Blue colored is going to be your 243 Loctite, and green colored is going to be where you want to put the extra grip. I used, Loctite's Loctite more or less. So there you go. I got a medium and high strength bonding, and then this stuff. I've only ever used this stuff on pinions, and it was like a one-time, I'll never do it again. This stuff grips so good. I had to take a pinion off 5 minutes after application, and it was damn near, I was afraid I was going to strip the head. It was just brutal to get it out, even heating it. So yeah, helicopters, from now on, I'm just blue and green. That's plenty enough. And this was the Helidirect brand. I just thought I'd give it a shot. It's alright. It wasn't bad stuff. It was a good brand. Like I said, thread locker. Anyways, lubricant, everything. So the manual's got good table of contents at the beginning. Alright, right off the bat, this is where my first defect was. And in the main shaft, it wasn't a deal breaker, but there was some machining threading left in the bore. Just a tiny little flake. Cleaned it out, it came out fine, but when I initially put the thread in, it was gripping and grinding, and so I pulled it out and I looked, and there was a tiny little bit of a filament left over from, or shavings, I mean. So, and I don't remember if it was left or right, but whatever. I cleaned it out, works fine. I did have to shim. That was optional, but it turns out I did have to shim. And again, color coding, blue. It's pretty clear. Nice thing about the manual is they were faithful. If they said it was already assembled, true to form, it was already assembled. So I didn't have to worry or stress about... I've had that on kits before where they're, oh, it's assembled. Like, well, you threaded it, but you didn't actually Loctite it in. So it's not perfect, anyways. Grease, one-way bearing grease. I used oil. And not grease. There's been too much drama on the forum, so I used a lubricant, a PTFE lube. We'll see. I don't think I'm in the wrong. The bearings did come pre-packed with grease already, so I just put a bead of dry fluid extreme, this stuff. Just let a few drops in here there to get the ceramic layer mixed in with the grease. But it already came pre-greased. And I think there is where a lot of the problems come with them, the one-way bearing failures. People are either over-greasing when they should be lightly greasing, or they're greasing where they should be putting oil. And jury's still out. I haven't had a bad issue with any one-way bearings myself, so I can't argue. Moving on to the manual, this is where I learned my first major lesson. Do their steps in order. Don't skip ahead or say, oh, I'm going to skip this and do it later or tomorrow. No, they want you to do things in the order that they present them. Specifically, I thought I'd mount the servo mounts and then put the servos in at a later date because I wanted to, tune them and center them and do them, have them balanced right. Set them to 1500, make sure they weren't 760. But anyways, no, it turns out I shot myself in the foot. I had to pull the mount out because you cannot get the servos in with the mount installed. So that was a permanent fixture. They knew what they were talking about when they said to mount the servos in first. I didn't have to fight getting the servos in. They actually put in place nice and clean. I've had kits where this part right here with the servo wire is just a bear to maneuver into position because it's just so the tolerances were really good, and the grooves were just enough that I could get my wiring in. So again, the Loctite and everything is good. This was the first, I believe, in failure in the manual. If you look here on the opposite frame, it's the port frame. It's got the threading blue Loctite, but on the starboard side, it does not have the Loctite threading in. And so I went in good faith with what the manual said, but after I assembled everything, I was like, no, that's just got to be an error in the manual because, and one of the users commented too. Pay attention to these right here. These are very closely shaped, but one is a little bit longer than the other, and I had accidentally put 2 upper cheeks on one side and had to go back and pull it off, and the glue came nicely. It was very sticky, and it reapplied just fine, and it's just to keep from rubbing here when it goes under the carbon frame. All right, battery assembly lock. I mean, you can go left or right if you want. I just went with the manual. Everything else here came along nice. I put all these main frame components, I put them in without Loctiting them, and then I went back the next day as the frame had been assembled. Then I did it so that everything was rigid and straight and not. Some people think that's overkill, and I agree it probably is overkill, but you know, I took the extra time to do it that way. You have to assemble this yourself. That was sketchy. These are really tiny, and you can be really careful. You're putting just the tiniest little bit of green high strength thread locker. You don't want to put in the blue, and you don't want to get any in the bearing itself. So that was, I had to use a magnifying lens on that. Everything else assembled nicely. Careful with your CA glue. One of these control arms, I got a tiny little fingerprint of CA residue somewhere along there. So must be on the underside because I don't see it up here. Anyways, you know, I like a clean looking bird. I like shiny things. This straightforward, it's all good. Motor mount. I wanted to check everything and assemble it to make sure that the pinion and all that was mounted properly at the right height. So I didn't actually set the pinion in until after I got the belt installed. And the belt is sitting not directly center, which would be right about, oh, there. But it rests directly at the bottom of the, it does not, I already spun it around plenty. It sits there permanently. So there you go. Can you play with the, could I have raised the belt a little bit? Sure. But I had it, I'm satisfied that this isn't going to go anywhere. Tensioning, that's where your tensioning comes from. Pay attention to that page. The rest of this was all pretty straightforward. I did it in, you know, I think the total time on this build was about 16 hours total. There was one like a 3-hour or 4-hour segment that didn't get uploaded, and then there on my live streams, and then there's, you know, also running the wiring and everything took a couple hours too. So there's probably about 3 or 4 hours off camera, but you can go back and watch. It's about like I said, I think I captured about 12.5 to 14 hours worth of the build. For this, I gave, I clear coated that, and that's right here. And this has a clear coat in it. I just used some cheap Krylon clear coat because I don't want the stickers popping off when they get wet in the grass. That is notorious for down here on the skids. I think it looks like shit, but it looks better than having a sticker peel off. So I'm not gonna go with cheap Krylon anymore. It was an oil-based Krylon. I'm gonna use some I got some. My next build is actually gonna have this stuff, clear coat, and a degreaser as well for it. And what else we got here? Oh, that's for cleaning the paint gun. And there we go. A reducer if needed. So, I mean, this stuff wasn't cheap. This was expensive, automotive grade. It's meant for detailing motorcycles. A little segue, but something to look forward on the next build. But yeah, I'm clear coating all my tails from now on every craft I ever do, just so I don't have to worry about the sticker coming peeled off. It looks unsightly. And this, oh sorry, Rust-Oleum, not Krylon, my bad. This was what I had used. It was a high gloss, but it was like an oil based, and it just, man, I don't know if it picks it up on camera or not. You know, there were just some, like, my kid touched it while it was in mid-cure and left her fingerprints on it. Anyways, so half of my drama came from the fact that it was a spray can, not like a nice air gun application, but also it was cheap, a cheap clear coat. It was just too soft. I don't really like, I'm not a fan of the way SAB has their method for tail mount tensioning. So yeah, the zigzag method I'm not a fan of. I pull it, it's tight. I'm not running slapstick head speeds. I'm running nice low and medium head speeds for this craft. This was all good, straightforward. Here's where the problem started to happen. Because you have your servo mounted underneath, you don't have room to run the cabling for the motor underneath the ESC, and it's really tight. And with the canopy the way it is here, it's such a tight canopy. Get this off. The profile is really snug. It's beautiful. I think this is probably one of the best paint schemes I've seen in SAB's lineup for a good while. But you can see here, there wouldn't have been any room to run the motor wiring over top or underneath the ESC because the servo is here. It would have just, I can't really get a good camera angle, but trust me, it wasn't going to happen. So I have it running on the side. It's fine because the canopy's covering. I don't, nobody has to worry about seeing my ugly wiring. And then this actually sat very nicely away from the getting cut on the frame. I ran, like I said, I'm going to swap these out probably for black, but you could see right here in the back, you start running out of room real quick. I had to pull this servo out just to get everything to mount into the ESC. I had mounted the ESC in advance because and in this orientation, because the way the antenna mounts are, just a little bit of wax there, that's all. Nitpicking it. Anyways, with the XR, the antenna mounts on the Genesis, it's actually up here and hanging out the back, and where it has the rabbit ear style. So it's 180 on the XR, but for this one, it just wasn't going to work. I mean, I could have maybe had the antenna come out here and just had like a little 2-inch nub, but I did it nice, and I gave it a nice little V-tail, and that's where the tips are good. They come out to right about here on the XR antenna. And I maybe let you pause there. I got to get that out. I put a CA glue dribbled when I was applying underneath here, so be careful there. That really frustrated me, but I got some goo gone. I'll be able to clean that up nicely. It's just going to take some elbow grease. Where else are we? Okay. I like having the layer of protection here from the cloth, so that's why I did that. And it makes it thicker and harder to work with. This, like I said, this took a couple hours to get these all run and tucked in and everything nicely, but they're now in place. Canopy grommets are in. I didn't have them bolted so that I could take it off quick and easy for you. Oh yeah, I showed you the battery already. What's next? I'm gonna load up Rotoflight 2 on both of these machines. They're gonna be damn near the same profile. You're using XT Fly and all the same servo placement and everything. Just it'll be 180 on the Nexus for the Mini, and then the they're the same servos, so that'll be a piece of cake there. Everything's gonna be damn near identical. Different motors on the two, and that's really the only thing that's different. I put an Ego Drift on the Mini, and this one just, you know, I got the Tarek edition just so I can have my support for Tarek's work in the hobby, I guess. I don't know. I don't support what you did to the Goose Guy, the latest paint job, though. That looks like a bird just flew by and shit all over the tail boom and the sides. Like, whoever approved that paint job, way uncool. Anyways, there's your parts list. I'm looking forward to this thing. The weather's too cold and too muggy and rainy in winter, so I'll be flying this in the spring. I just wanted to give my post-build thoughts. You know, I'm gonna get the avionics set up and then let this thing just sit on the shelf for the next couple of months, which is fine. That's the way it is here for me. I only get to fly about 8 months out of the year. The rest of the time, the weather sucks. But the 8 months I do fly, be jealous. Be very jealous, because it's beautiful, perfect, temperate climate where I'm at. It's not like I'm flying in Florida where it's just hot and muggy 8 months out of the year and I can just barely stand the heat. It's not like other places, you know, like dry bone desert or any of that. Like, I mean, you guys get the wind in the winter months, and I have to just sit there and pout and do all my builds in the winter. But during the spring, summer, and fall, I get to pull out ahead. Anyways, all right. Next up is gonna be, I'm pretty sure, is gonna be my Miami edition, IL 520. Thank you.